So Eileen, what kind of projects have been running at the Open University over the years about citizen science?
We've always tried to focus on developing student skills. Have done lots of practical work in the past, but right from the beginning we realised that involving students in real scientific inquiry was a way to engage them with the processes of science. One of the first projects I was involved in was collecting information on SO2 pollution. We've done things where we use the national footprint of the OU to compare data from different parts of the OU. So I would say we've got a long history in this regard. But tell me something about the projects that you're currently involved with there.
Well, actually, I'm very excited because at the moment we are involved with two major research initiatives. The first one is the Tomorrow's World nQuire, and this is actually a partnership between the BBC and the Open University, where we try to open the process of scientific inquiry to the public. And how we are doing this is through the design of mobile-based and web-based technologies. The other project is called Learn Citizen Science, and this focuses on young people. It's an international collaboration between three natural history museums in London, in Los Angeles, and the California Academy of Sciences, and three universities, the University of California, Davis, University of Oxford, and of course the Open University. And the aim of this project is to bring young people closer to science, engage them with scientific activities.
So there's lots of commonalities, I think, between these two projects.
Perhaps you could tell us a bit more about the Tomorrow's World nQuire and why this project is important.
I'm very excited about this project. As I said, inquiry learning has been a long-term interest of people working at the Open University. And in the past, we've worked on projects to support school children with their understanding of the inquiry processes. An outcome of that work was some technology developments. Most recent of those is called the nQuire platform. And we've done lots of work with this platform. So we were very enthusiastic when the BBC Tomorrow's World Strand approached us to see if there were ways that we could use this web-based platform to engage with their mission, which is similar to our mission, engaging people in science in a meaningful way. I think what's interesting about the Tomorrow's World opportunity is it recognises the kind of support that members of the public could use if they got engaged in a particular science inquiry. And what we've focused on in our development with Tomorrow's World is making a platform that's easy for everyone to use. I think the everyone part is quite important there because what we want to be sure of is that people can engage with us on science projects in a kind of equitable fashion.
So what would you say are the major outcomes of this project?
We're just at a very exciting stage. We've just launched the new version of the platform in association with Tomorrow's World. We've done some sample missions and we've been able to, in the platform, develop a couple of apps that do the kind of support for inquiry that I've been describing. One of these is called the Sensit app, and that allows people to take measurements on their mobile phone and connect them with the work of colleagues or other scientists. And the other one is the Spot It app, which allows people to take photographs of interest to their particular scientific mission and then share them.
Perhaps we should also mention that these tools can be accessed online. The nQuire website is at nquire.org.uk, while the Sensit app is at the moment in the App Store, so anyone can actually download it by just searching for Sensit.
We're hoping that we can build on a good platform of work, get more and more people involved in our investigations. I think the other significant thing to talk about is the way that we want to encourage people to launch their own scientific missions using these open tools that we've been describing. We want to empower people to become involved in citizen science for a variety of reasons, for their own scientific interest, for collaboration with other scientists, but equally importantly for work in their community. I think there's lots of possibilities, and we want to encourage people to join with us in this activity. But tell me a bit more about the Learn project that you were describing before.
Well, I would say that they share commonalities with the Tomorrow's World nQuire in terms of empowering people, in particular young people, to engage with science. So we are focusing on bringing young people aged 5 to 19 years old closer to science, especially those that come from disadvantaged backgrounds, those that do not have the social or the science capital to participate in scientific activities. So the natural history museums we work with, they run a range of programs, citizen science programs, yet they are aiming at the general public. They are not designed having in mind young people. So our aim is through this 4-year research activity to find ways to redesign or adapt existing programs to make them suitable for young people. We want to show them that science can be fun and doable and not something boring. They usually think of it as such, and we hope that by the end of the project more and more young people will join us in these citizen science activities that take place both in the field, they are field-based, happening outdoors. For example, the City Nature Challenge is a worldwide natural history museum program where people are called to capture the biodiversity in an area. So we are looking for young people to join this kind of activities, either in the field or online by uploading their observations in platforms such as Zooniverse or iNat.
That sounds fascinating. And do you have an idea about what kind of outcomes? What will you be looking for? Obviously, if you can engage more young people with science and if they find it more interesting than before, that's great. Is there anything else you think that young people will get out of the involvement with the museums?
Well, I would say that by the end of the first year of the project, we noticed that there is a great diversity of citizen science programs, both within the museums and across the museums we work with. And this means that there is not a standard way of designing these programs to make sure or to ensure that young people can be attracted to them. So we hope that by redesigning this project, we will end up with more young people being engaged with them. The other, I would say, fascinating outcome is that the young people do participate in these projects. We started the project having anecdotal evidence that young people take part in citizen science programs. Now we know that they are there, and we are talking about young people as young as 5 years old that take part in programs with their families. So they create accounts online in these platforms like Zooniverse. They share their accounts with their families and they put up their images of biodiversity in projects they are interested in. So the challenge we have ahead of us is how to engage more and more people in these kind of activities, and especially those ones that do not have the science capital to take part in this activity.
And science capital, what does that mean?
Well, there is this big body of literature saying that young people that grow up in families where parents or other members are already interested in science tend to take part in these activities. Our challenge is to bring closer to science those people that do not come from this kind of families, that do not have the opportunities or they've never had the opportunity to take part in this kind of project.
Sounds like a really worthwhile endeavour. I think the connection I would make with our Tomorrow's World nQuire work is that notion of spreading interest in science. But maybe another thing too, I think although the current version of the software is only recently available, we already have 200 different types of missions, investigations on the platform, and we have a whole variety of users. I think the current number of people involved, one way or another, in these different missions is something like 15,000. So we know that we can get some reach with these type of activities. The challenge that I see for us, both in the Tomorrow's World project and in your own project, is then moving beyond reach to be able to identify ways in which scientific understanding improves, some learning takes place that is of use to young people or even older people like myself.
So Eileen, what would you say is the commonality between this project and the OU mission and vision?
We have a wonderful mission, as you know. We're open to people, places, methods and ideas. So the thing about the citizen science inquiry work I'm most excited about is it's so consistent with our mission of openness. All these tools are freely available. People can find them. They can participate with scientists or create communities themselves that want to use scientific method. So essentially, I think one of the key commonalities we have in the two projects is this notion of democratic citizen science, people who engage in scientific investigations as partners with a whole variety of people, whether it's other scientists or other members of their community. And I think probably the final thing to say is that the Open University's mission is about social justice and the kind of aspirations that your Learn project has, and our vision for nQuire into the future combined together to offer a different way of approaching our social justice mission.
That was a very interesting discussion.
And nice to talk to you.